March is Women's History Month. So today we're going to talk about all the accomplishments women have done. So today we're going to reflect on women's accomplishments in history, and today emphasize where women are being recognized and what they are doing, and understand the importance of celebrating women in the LGBTQ community and respecting everyone's perspectives. So I have a Google Doc here that I would like if you guys can open and take a look at. Just answer a couple questions in regards to like Women's History Month. And I will go ahead and put it in the chat.
Thank you.
And yes, give me one moment. Actually, I don't. Oh. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and put it in the chat for you guys real quick. Where is my chat option on here?
I think sometimes when you're the person screen sharing, the chat function goes away. You might have to stop the share real quick.
Yeah, to me, it's down right next to the share button.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there we go. I think I just sent it to everybody.
Oh yeah, you did.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, there's just some questions there that I would love for some of you to answer. They're like questions like before the presentation, and then afterwards, if you guys like for feedback, how today's presentation celebration was. I would love to hear from everybody, and then we can like discuss everything as we go on and move forward, because I really want to hear like everyone's perspectives and what they think. I think that is just very important to hear what everyone thinks.
It's not letting me. Oh, I have to request edit access.
Oh, really?
I think we need to make a copy of it, Caroline, because if we don't make a copy of it, then we're all going to be editing the same document. Is that your intent?
Yeah, because I don't think it'll show who wrote what. But if you'd like, yeah, I can go ahead and do it so everyone has a copy. Sorry.
Well, so we can either all edit the same document, if that's what your intent is, or we can each make copies of it.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone can. I was just saying it to make it easier. Everyone can just write in the same document. Okay. But it really depends how it works for everybody. If you feel more comfortable making a copy, just let me know and I can just go ahead and make a copy.
I asked for read access, so.
Oh. That's really weird. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not the best at technology. Okay.
So when you do share, there's a link there. Anyone on the internet with this link can open. If you click the share button, there should be an option where you can do with the get the link and change it so that anyone with the link can edit the document.
Okay, so anyone with the link. Okay. So copy link. Let's take a look. Yeah, because it's showing up right now that there's like anonymous people on the document.
Yeah. We're all.
But
I signed in.
It won't let you edit it though?
Nope. And I sent request access and still not able to edit.
Okay, so this is the one I just did, but okay, I will go ahead and.
This happens a lot, so don't feel bad at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my email.
I'm still not.
Give me a moment. Let me open it. Okay, there we go. Okay. Share. Okay, are you guys allowed to look at it now? I just let it share with everybody.
Yes, I'm able to.
Okay. Okay, does anybody else need access to this real quick while I'm in here?
Did you give me access?
Yes, it says I did.
Yeah, I had to refresh my page. Maybe try that.
Thank you.
Is everyone in? Is everyone
Yeah,
okay?
I can access. Eli, Isaac, Christy, can you guys access this?
I can't.
You can't? Did you try refreshing the page?
I'll try that.
Okay. How about you, Chrissy? Did you try refreshing the page as well?
I can.
Because I gave everyone share access. It says I did. Okay, so Chrissy says she refreshed it. I'm gonna go ahead and get back in there and share it directly with you then. So, oh, well, it says I requested access to King Eli and Isaac, but not to Chrissy. What's your email, Chrissy? I didn't get your request. Okay, I just shared it with you. Chrissy, let me know if you receive it or if you're able to log in there. Is everyone else able to be in there? I see a lot of people typing, but not sure if everyone has access. All good? Awesome. Okay, Chrissy, cool. Okay, let me. Did everybody look at the questions? Do we need a little bit more time before we begin? Does anybody want to share their answers instead of typing them in? Okay. Let me know when you are ready for me to begin.
Okay, I finished typing a bunch of stuff.
Okay,
Me too.
awesome.
Sorry.
Everyone
You
else
ask me these questions, I'm going to get on my soapbox.
all good. I saw Christy typing, but I think she left the Zoom chat.
Okay.
Hopefully she comes back.
Yeah, I don't think that Eli ended up being able to type, but that's okay, Eli. Don't worry about it. We can talk, and you're totally included, both you and your brother. So,
Are we ready?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now, and let's go over this today. Okay. Alrighty. So thank you everyone for answering the questions. I hope you guys were able to see them. As we move along, we can go ahead and discuss them as well. So what is International Women's Day? International Women's Day is celebrated in many countries around the world annually on March 8th. It is the day when women are recognized for their achievements without regard to divisions, whether national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, economic, or political. It is very important on this day and every day to raise awareness about women's equality and lobby for accelerated gender parity. So I have some videos I would like to share because I love videos. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this video with you guys real quick. Kind of gives an overview of Women's International Awareness Day.
Now kicking off. It's going to give us a little history lesson on how it all grew into the celebration we now know today.
Can you guys see my screen?
It's March 1st, which marks the beginning of Women's History Month, a month-long celebration to honor women's often overlooked contributions to American history, like those of Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman to officially become a doctor in the United States in 1849. Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, all leaders in the women's suffrage movement. And Harriet Tubman, who led hundreds of enslaved people to freedom. But what's the history behind Women's History Month? It all began in 1978 with only a week-long celebration. It was organized by the Sonoma County Commission on Women. The week of March 8th was selected to correspond with International Women's Day, which had been celebrated around the world on March 8th since 1911. The movement began to gain momentum, and the following year, other communities and school districts initiated their own celebrations of Women's History Week. Then in 1980, the National Women's History Project lobbied for national recognition, and they were heard, because in February of that year, President Jimmy Carter issued the first proclamation, which declared the week of March 8th as National Women's History Week. 6 years later, the same organization petitioned for an expansion on the event. And in March of 1987, Congress passed Public Law 100-9, proclaiming March as Women's History Month. Now, every March and all month long, we celebrate countless extraordinary women who've earned their place at the table. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Alrighty. Sorry, guys, I'm having a lot of technical difficulties right now. Give me one moment.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing again and then sharing again. I don't know. I keep exiting and it won't let me.
Technology can be so frustrating sometimes.
It can.
Okay. I'm gonna exit out of this and okay. So I'm not sure, the video seems a little slow. It didn't seem like
it was very choppy.
Yeah, it was. I don't think I'll probably share the rest of the videos then, if they're gonna show up like that. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. I'm finally in. Okay. Okay, awesome. So there was like a brief introduction of what International Women's Day is. We celebrate it worldwide every year. And it's not just the month of March that we should be celebrating Women's Day. It should be every day, acknowledging everything that women have done and the strong, powerful women we are. So moving forward, as I was doing research on everything for today, I came across the term women with an X, women with a Y, and then just women. And I thought it was very important to bring it into discussion. So as we all know, women is a female human. What I came across was women with an X is a spelling of woman that is more inclusive. It's like a progressive term that not only sheds light on the prejudice, discrimination, and institutional barriers women have faced, but to also show that women are not extension of men, as hinted by classic Bible story of Adam and Eve, but their own free and separate entities, more intersectional than women because it includes trans women and women of color. As I kept searching, I think I've only seen the term woman with a Y once in my life before. And I came to find out that women with a Y is an alternative spelling of woman, but it is mostly used by trans exclusive radical feminists. They often want to make clear that men don't belong into the feminist circles and that feminism is only about women's right. The terms are used to avoid the term men and woman, women. However, the terms can sometimes be unintentionally problematic in their own distinct ways. For example, women with a Y, it first came across offensive because it was a term that upper class white women made to exclude trans women and women of color. So I haven't really seen that term a lot or that it's been used. I don't know if anybody else has. Personally, I really haven't.
I've seen it in like kind of Wiccan and goddess kind of worshipy stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I haven't. But however, women with an X, sometimes I was like reading a lot of like testimonies and like personal stories online of how women with an X can sometimes be offensive because it makes it seem like trans women were never really like included in the term women with an E, which if we look back at history, it wasn't. So, but it can be offensive for those women of color and those who identify as non-binary. So, you know, I've met people who, I have a friend personally that it doesn't find it offensive, women with an X, but she let me know that other people in the community might find it offensive. So really it comes to some people find it offensive, some won't. So it's just like good to be alert and, you know, be understanding of everyone's perspectives and how they prefer to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other maybe comments that they can add to that? Maybe something that I may have missed or, you know, something personal that you want to share about it? Did that come across? Does that like make sense to you guys? Yeah. I don't know. Anyone in the chat say anything? Okay.
I'll monitor the chat for you. I didn't see anything pop up about it, so
okay. Awesome. So moving forward, we can go ahead and take a look at the difference between women versus men in college and the workforce. Here I found some graphs online. The median earnings for full-time year-round workers by educational attainment for men and women. Men, even with bachelor's degree, when women have bachelor's degrees, seem to have work year round and make more than women. And that is something I did see in like the questions that I've asked. And yes, that is something major that we're facing, that there's a huge wage gap between men and women in the workforce. And here back in 2019, women now are half of US college educated labor force. So, a lot of women are educated and have degrees just as men. So why are they getting paid less than them? It's very controversial all around the world.
It started at 320.
So yes, very important. This leads on to seeing the gender pay gap, not just here, but around the world. Women are paid less than men, 18% less, so almost 82 cents to the dollar. I found this recently. It was done in a research in 2019, 2020. And it shows like the gender pay gap by country. So United States is at 18%, and there are places around the world where it's more, and it's still a work in progress. I know there are many people that want to be nurses, that want to be educators, that are going to attain good manager positions. And if you notice the difference, it's a little small. All women are still getting paid less than men. And question that we're always asking is why? Why do you think men are still getting paid more than women? So I think that's a question that we can each ask ourselves and like critically analyze and think about. Does anyone want to, maybe share anything, share thoughts, share ideas? No. In the chat.
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay.
I think that there's some factors like women often lose seniority because they take off time for child rearing. Even now when dads are a lot more active and involved, child rearing is still seen as a woman's domain. There's a guy in my husband's company who is taking off maternity or paternity leave for the birth of his child, as is his right. And there are people in management who are complaining. Why is he doing this? What kind of guy is he to do this? I never did this kind of thing. So even men who want to do it face stigma from other men. And even if they don't, it's more likely women will take off time for child rearing than a man will to be a stay-at-home mom for a few years while their childs are really little. They'll also take off more time to care for aging parents than men do. Some of these figures are taken just across the board, not comparing career to career. And a lot of careers that women tend to dominate pay less. So if you compare, say, working in construction or maybe as a laborer, not particularly trained, not a lot of education, hard body work, compare that to being a nursing assistant, maybe working in a nursing home or something. You're moving patients, you're doing hard-bodied work, you're on your feet, it's a lot of lifting, it's hard on your back. And the man working construction will make significantly more and has many steps for improvement. Whereas the woman working in this healthcare position, in a very similar position, will not get paid that much. So I think that's part of it, is that female-dominated fields, education, notoriously, for the amount of education your teachers need, the degrees, master's degrees and everything, how much your teachers are willing to be paid, and how elementary school teachers get paid less than high school teachers, and how most teachers men who go into teaching end up on the principal track. So I think there's a lot of features that go onto that.
Yeah.
So that was my rant. Sorry, I'll stop now.
No, thanks for sharing. I actually didn't know some of that.
Same. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. So, moving forward, a brief timeline of women's rights. So women were not allowed to vote until like 1920, and even then this amendment only applied to white women. Women of color were not allowed to vote until like a couple years later, many years later. Women were not allowed to own property even if they were married. Women were not allowed to obtain birth control. They had no control over their bodies. And that's something that, we're still fighting today. Planned Parenthood. The last administration tried to get rid of Planned Parenthood, abortion laws, things like that. Women were not allowed to divorce their partners. Women were not allowed to even wear pants. They could not dress like men. Women were not allowed to serve on a jury. Women were not allowed to join the Olympics. There were so many more things that women were not allowed to do. And we have progressed so much in like the last 100 years. And there's still so much that we have to do to, keep moving forward, to have equal rights as everyone else, in regards to gender. I had a video for that as well, but it's probably going to be very like the last video. So, I mean, if you guys would like, I can go ahead and share this whole presentation with you guys afterwards, and then you can go ahead and take a look at the videos yourself during your time. It's totally up to you, but just let me know. But yeah, moving forward. Does anyone have any questions? Something they would like to add?
That's awesome. And I love the passion you have while you're saying it.
Oh, thanks. Awesome. All right, moving forward. So Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. I really wanted to bring them also into the presentation. Marsha P. Johnson. I also learned while reading about her, about Sylvia Rivera, they were two very recognized trans women in history. They emerged from the events that took place at Stonewall in 1969 as leaders in the gay liberation movement. Together, they helped found the group STAR, which stands for Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, which offered housing to homeless and transgender youth, a particularly vulnerable population. Johnson and Rivera recognized that many transgender people turned to sex work after being rejected by their families, and they faced additional hardships and dangers through being unsheltered. They both opened the first LGBTQ plus youth in a shelter in North America, and they became the first trans women of color to lead an organization in the United States. As I kept reading about these two women, I found out that the LGBTQ community during this time was not accepting of trans women or men. They weren't taken seriously. And looking back at this, we really have come a long way since then, and it has made a big impact around the world today. And it's very important to recognize these figures in history. So yeah, would anyone like to add something? We good? Okay. Moving forward, I took this out of the Raise Me PowerPoint, Elizabeth, that you had sent me, because I thought it was really awesome. You know, just looking at the milestones in our government, like the first woman in Congress was back in 1917. You know, and all these women are firsts throughout the government. Our first Jewish woman, our first Asian American woman, our first openly gay congresswoman, our first Buddhist woman in Congress, the first Hindi woman, you know, and still today, many years up to today, we're still making history today. And it's just important to acknowledge and know this and recognize this. And I'm pretty sure some of you might see some familiar faces on here recently. Moving forward. So, women in history and sports. I know that there are so many women in history that are vital to how we see the world today. So I apologize in advance if I did not put a picture of someone who like might inspire you or that you look up to. I can't put like all these millions of women in one event, but just know that they're very acknowledged. And if at any moment you would like to share of a woman you look up to or that inspires you, because they're just simply amazing, just like let us know. Like just be like, hey, or put it in the chat. Like we're paying attention. But women in history, like in sports, Mara Gomez, she was the first trans woman in Argentina to play soccer in the girls soccer team. Fallon Fox was the first trans woman to be in MMA fights. A reporter, so apparently I was reading a little background story on her. She hadn't actually like come out and told everyone that she was a trans woman, and a reporter had threatened to tell the world if she didn't, which is totally messed up. So that was
so messed up.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting to read about. I was shook.
That happens a lot. That was actually, I think his name was Howard Milk. His last name is Milk. But a lot of gay activists, especially in the 70s and 80s, would purposefully out celebrities and people who are public figures. That's even where Out Magazine came from. Without their consent often, because they felt that the more people they outed, the more they raised the issues.
Yeah.
So it's not a good thing, but it's also a very common thing that has been used in the LGBTQ community for activism.
Yep.
But I think it's pretty horrible. I don't think you should out anybody. People can define their own sexuality. It's not for you to tell people who they are.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. So Serena Williams, she's like very known today. She's like one of the best tennis players of all time. Catherine Switzer, I actually didn't know about her until Elizabeth mentioned her. I found this picture. She was the first woman to run a Boston Marathon, and I found this picture, and you see how like men are being jerks, just like pushing her around. Like why? And you know the fact that she just kept pushing and kept going, it shows like women are tough. Don't mess with them.
Seriously.
Wasn't allowed to run. Women were not allowed to run in the Boston Marathon, and so when she ran, you can see pictures of literally other runners and officials trying to tackle her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
messed up.
And then she actually did have men who were with her who were running interference. I think that's actually the guy there behind her, the big dude. I believe he was pushing the guy in the suit away from her. She had men who were running with her, purposely running, pacing with her, so that they could help defend her. So there were male allies in that.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that some men are just mean. Althea Gibson, I found out about her as well. She's another very recognized tennis player, one of the first Black athletes to cross the color line of international tennis.
Wow.
In 1956, she became the first African American to win a Grand Slam title. So, women in history, in sports. Pretty sure I missed a couple of other grand women, but I'm sorry. Moving forward, women in history in the arts. Frida Kahlo. She was a Mexican painter known for her many portraits, self-portraits, and works inspired by the nature and artifacts of Mexico. Ava DuVernay. She won the directing award in the U.S. dramatic competition at the 2012 Sundance Film Festival, becoming the first Black woman to win the award. Also, recently, she made this Netflix series. I don't know if you guys have watched it, When They See Us. It's a very good show.
Adding it to my list. What's it called again?
When They See Us.
When They See Us.
Yeah, it's about the Central Park Five. It's like 4 or 5 episodes. I would have some tissues because it will make you cry, but it's
Thanks
really
for the heads
good.
up.
It's really good to watch, and gives you some insight in history as well. Like, it was a crazy time. Also, Sadie Lamar, she was known as a Golden Age actress and was credited for helping to co-invent a radio signaling device that helped send secret signals during World War II, which is awesome. I did not know about that. Rita Moreno. Today, she is still the only Latina woman to earn the coveted EGOT, which means she's won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony for her film The West Side Story in 1961, which is pretty awesome. Aretha Franklin, she is one of the best singers in history. In 1987, she was the first woman ever to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Another person is Laverne Cox. In 2014, she was the first trans woman to win a Daytime Emmy Award, making history as the first openly transgender woman to win this award. I wasn't even aware of that. So looking at like history and like things like that, it was really awesome.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And then there's another YouTube video I was going to show you guys. But if you guys want the links, let me know. I'll go ahead and send them to you. So other women in history, Amelia Earhart. In 1928, she was the first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, and then she got lost. No one knows what happened.
That's so interesting.
Her life is a mystery, so it's really interesting. I remember learning about her back in like elementary, and then boom, we don't know what happened. It's just a mystery up until today what might have happened. Margaret Sanger, she coined the term birth control. She wrote pamphlets and opened a women's health clinic decades before her biggest achievement, getting the Food and Drug Administration to approve the first oral contraceptive in 1960, which was 6 years before her death. So yeah, she's a big person. Yeah. Anne Frank, I'm sure maybe some of you have heard about her, if not all of you. She was a young Jewish girl who died in a concentration camp in 1945 during the Holocaust. Her father, who was a survivor, published her diary that chronicled the events during her time there. And it gives everyone like around the world kind of a better understanding of what really happened during the time. Isabel Martinez de Perón was the first female president in Argentina in 1974. And then we have Sally Ride. She became the first American woman to travel to space on the shuttle Challenger in 1983. Any questions? Anyone you guys want to add? No? Anything in the chat? No? Okay, I'll keep moving forward. Moving forward, Benazir Bhutto, she became the first woman prime minister of Pakistan in 1988. Rigoberta Menchú, she is from Guatemala. She is a human rights activist, feminist, and Nobel Peace Prize winner. She has dedicated her whole life to publicizing the rights of Guatemala's indigenous peoples during and after the Guatemalan Civil War and promoting indigenous rights internationally. There's a book, I believe, that I read from her. I can't remember what the book is called, but it's really good. I read it in my undergrad. I would have to look for it, but it's really awesome. She's awesome. Wilma Mankiller was an American Cherokee activist, social worker, community developer, and the first woman elected to serve as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Madeleine Albright served as the first female United States Secretary of the State in U.S. history from 1997 to 2001. Sonia Sotomayor, she was appointed to the United States Supreme Court in 2009, making her the first ever Hispanic woman to serve on the highest court in the land. Next, we have Malala Yousafzai. Correct me if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. She survived a gunshot wound to the face by the Taliban and has since become a spokesperson for human rights, education, and women's rights. In 2014, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. And Junko Tabai, she loved hiking. So if we have hikers, she shattered gender norms in 1975 when she became the first woman to successfully climb Mount Everest. She strengthened her legacy by later becoming the first woman ever to reach the 7 peaks, which are the highest points of the Earth's 7 continents in 1992.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea. So it was really awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, I could never. I usually feel like I'm dying on small hikes, so good for her. It's really awesome. Moving forward. Alrighty, other women in history in our government. Deb Haaland, she made history when she began her job as Secretary of the Interior, becoming the first Native American to lead a cabinet level agency. She was just sworn in, I believe it was last week. So yes, history was made last week. Tammy Duckworth became the first Thai American woman and the first female amputee to be elected to Congress. Michelle Obama, she is an American attorney and author who served as the First Lady of the United States from 2009 to 2017, and she was the first African American woman to serve in this position. Nancy Pelosi, she made history in 2007 when she was elected the first woman to serve as Speaker of the House. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is the youngest woman ever to serve in Congress at 29, and she was previously an activist and worked as a waitress and bartender before running for Congress in 2018. So yeah, you can be a bartender and a waitress and then become one of the women in Congress. Everything's possible.
She went to college too.
Yeah, she went to college. She went, I think it's at Boston. I think she was in Boston.
Wow.
Yeah, she studied law. So yeah, you can work and go to college. It's just a matter of organizing your time and being passionate, I think, really. Janet Reno was an American lawyer who served as the first female Attorney General of the United States from 1993 until 2001. And then we have Sandra Day O'Connor, who became the first woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. So, women making history. Alrighty, and so making history in 2021 so far, I found this link with like women around the world in 2021. Kaja Kallas, I want to say is how you pronounce her name. She became Estonia's first female prime minister. So the country now has both a female prime minister and a president. Right here, right under her, we see Dr. Kismekia Corbett. Dr. Corbett is a research fellow and lead at the coronavirus vaccines and the National Institutes of Health. She also just so happened to lead the team that successfully developed the Moderna vaccine. So it's awesome. Sarah Thomas, she became the first woman to officiate as a referee, while Tampa Bay Buccaneers assistant coaches became the first female coaches to win the Super Bowl title. Next, I'm gonna try to pronounce their name. Ngozi was on February 15th. The former Minister of Finance in Nigeria was unanimously chosen by the World Trade Organization's 164 members to be in its new Director General, making her the first woman and the first African woman to ever hold the post as a former Minister of Finance in Nigeria. Zara Mohammed on February 1st became the first woman and at 29, the youngest person to be elected as the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. So and it's also the nation's largest Muslim representative body. And then this year, history was made when we got our first female vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, who is also, she was inaugurated as the first Black, South Asian American, and first woman vice president of the United States. And something I also wanted to point out was that was really hitting the news was how Mexico celebrated International Women's Day this year. It was really a call to action because many young girls and women are being killed. Last year alone, there were about 1,000 reports of femicide, which is female homicides. So yeah, the whole government's capital in Mexico, the government tried covering it up so that they wouldn't break anything while they were protesting. So they turned it really into like the victims and put flowers and the names of all the women and young girls that have been kidnapped and raped and have died. So it's really important to know. But yeah. Does anybody want to add anything? Any comments? Any thoughts? Anything in the chat?
You got anything to add?
Anything?
Chrissy usually has something to add. Oh, hi, Riva. Chrissy says it's so sad.
Oh, yeah.
Isaac, do you have anything you want to add? Totally calling on you guys. There will be participation.
Same.
Awesome. Okay. So last but not least, let's see what this works. You're amazing. Most of you are the first in your families to go to college, and that is a huge accomplishment. That is history in the making. Feel proud of all you have gone through to be where you are today. Something that my partner, he is an enrolled tribal member. Something that they go by every day is that you are alive and strong. So keep going. You're awesome. All women are awesome. And yeah, any questions, any thoughts, anything you guys may want to add?
Thank you. That was amazing. I love the empowerment at the end.
Oh, thanks.
Make it personal,
really
yeah.
Isaac and Eli, you guys are awesome. Even though you're not women, you're still awesome.
Yes.
But, you know.
So yeah. So if no one has anything else to add, if we go back to that Google Doc, there were some questions like after the whole like presentation workshop event. Here, let me stop sharing. Let me take a look. Like, just like some feedback of, you know, maybe what other things do you guys wish you saw? Things like that. How do you feel? Did you learn maybe like, did you learn something new? Is there something that really stood out to you that you might have liked? Things like that. And also, thank you for everyone that came. Oh, and then let me know if you guys would like me to share the link to the PowerPoint, and then you guys can also look at the YouTube videos I had attached since I couldn't share them with you guys. I will go ahead and put it in the chat as well for you guys.
Christy says that she liked it.
Okay.
Isaac or Eli, was there anything that you guys learned or anything that was new to you?
I think someone is writing in the doc. Where?
Yeah.
Something new was the Guatemalan activist. Like, I remember searching up like famous people from Guatemala, but all it was like people from like the 1960s or 50s. So I felt like there wasn't anything irrelevant for like my generation or like people to look up to. And then when you said that, I was like, oh my God, yes, there's actually somebody who's doing something right now, who's actually helping out people. And so, yeah, that surprised me.
Awesome. Do you want me to put her name in the chat and maybe you can look her up later as well?
Yeah, definitely.
And then I also put the link to the PowerPoint. So in case there's someone else that you guys want to look up or like get more information on, you guys can also look into that.
Karoline, thank you so much for putting this all together, for teaching us, for showing us this great, women and kind of being empowering. Riva said in the comments, there are women from Guatemala who do YouTube videos in Spanish where they're trying to share more about their culture, especially cooking. You may want to check them out.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I just want to say thank you for you doing this for us.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you. Awesome.
So I have a question for everybody. The students. Do you know which gender identity is most attending college right now?
Women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most of the colleges, one of the things you're going to notice is that more of the people who are at college right now are women than men. And that's not saying anything about men. I think that's the availability of work where women can earn a livable wage. We need to go to college. But that's one thing you should know is that people who are going to college, a lot of them are women right now. Another thing is that the people who are going to be helping you as you're going through college, as you're going through school, one of the things you might notice is a lot of your teachers are women. A lot of the support offices at colleges, they have people who identify as women working in their offices. So you're going to encounter a lot of people in your college journey who identify as women and are trying to help you reach your final goal. So one of the things that I'm hoping that you guys will take away from some of this is just remembering that you have a lot of women on your side, that we're a very significant part of the journey. And not to forget when you actually are receiving help from women to occasionally, say thank you. Just acknowledge that they're doing that work that's helping you out a lot, because that is the reality. And even when it comes to a lot of like the civil rights stuff that is going on right now, a lot of the leaders in those groups are women right now. And so just kind of pay attention around you and just make sure that you don't lose sight of that as you're going through school.
Thank you, Riva. Awesome. Is there anything else anyone might want to add? Maybe. Okay. Well, thank you to everyone that came today and listened. Took a little bit of the time. And also for the yoga, Tabitha. The yoga was awesome. I don't think I've ever done yoga in my life, and I was like almost breaking a sweat.
Yay, nice. I'm glad you enjoyed.
Yeah, Reva, she skipped out on that yoga. I wonder why.
She needs prenatal yoga.
I'm sorry, I mean me.
I need yoga where I can practice reaching my feet to tie my shoes.
She needs a pillow between her legs, laying down on her bed.
No, I had another meeting. Sorry. I had 2 other meetings, actually.
I'm just teasing you. I'm sorry.
Well, you'd have just seen my screen anyway. the Reba. Yeah, I'm here. I'm doing yoga. Just trust that I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm totally here.
I'm bending all kinds of different ways.
Okay,
Have
well,
a great
thank you
weekend, everyone.
everyone for coming. I appreciate this.
Yeah, it's nice to see everyone's still screen.
I know.
And of course, all my colleagues. Well, you guys can hang out too. We can talk.
Alrighty, well, I'll see y'all later.
All right, bye, Tabitha. Thank you.
Enjoy your
Bye.
spring break.
Thank you.
All right, Isaac. Oh, you guys can see the chat now.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Nice to meet some of you.
Bye.